This is a Pin Game Journal Pinball Production.
And I basically first had to create illustrations of the main characters, which I don't have here, but I do have the files. I have complete control. So that's the first thing I do. I've got Lily, I've got a drawing of Herman here, got a drawing of Eddie. So the first thing to do is, once I know what I'm going to do, is create, all of the drawings. And even stuff like, I've got like the drawing of the casket telephone.
Okay.
Which they never really showed all that well in the show, so it was I kind of had to wing it. I knew it was the old cranked phone, and I knew it was a coffin, but so anyway, that's the first step, and then we go into step one obviously is research. Let's take a what can we find? I got a couple of Munsters books here. Oddly enough, though, there's not a lot of quality stuff out there for the Munsters.
Really?
I had done some artwork for a guy named Chad Colbank, who owns a company called Tweeterhead, and they make statues.
Okay.
Like they made this Wonder Woman here. And he had done a whole line of maquettes of the Munsters, and that was one of the things I stumbled across when I was doing research. And I'm like, this basic shot right here is based on his maquettes.
Oh.
Once he did the last one, he took a group shot of all of them like this, and so I called him up and I said, "Look, I can't find anything worth a damn, for good reference, and this makes such a good family portrait the way that it's laid out. Do you mind if I do my artwork based on your statues?"
Oh,
He's
cool.
like, "No, go ahead." I promised him that I would put a little tribute on the game somewhere for him for allowing me to do that. So
and
the brand name on the TV is Colbank.
Oh,
which
cool.
is his last name.
Okay.
This is a full size to scale, accurate drawing of the playfield. And that's what I have to work from. Now I have to I have to somehow look at this and start imagining artwork on it, which is horrifying. Because when you first look at it, all you kind of see is like, well, I see these little spaces here, and there's a little bit of room here. So when I looked at this, I was just like, oh, well, this is what I go through every time. I went through the same thing with Guardians. I was just like, plus this, the premium and the LE have the lower playfield.
Right.
So that just hogs up that whole middle area. So I was just like, okay, what am I going to do with this? So basically I start with the lower area.
Okay.
I can show you, like right here. This is a screen grab of you can see up at the top, nothing up there. But I started basically. I wanted the foundation to be old wood, so I created this old wood texture and started building from there. And what I do, everybody's different. Well, I would assume everybody's different. I don't know. I've never asked, but I like to start right between the flippers, right where the main business is going on. And there's no particular rhyme or reason behind it, other than this area is usually going to have the most interesting generic art that doesn't apply to a feature or a score.
Right. Okay.
You're just going to have figures standing there going, "Hi, we're the Munsters."
Right.
So that's basically where I want to start, and then once I start getting, I start a feeling for what colors I want to use. You can see all these little design elements bring colors in, purple and green, and once I find my color palette that I want to work with, then I can start, spread out throughout the playfield. So. So this is an early on one. This is a separate piece of art that I just dropped on in place so that I knew, what I was designing around. If I left that hole empty and I designed around it, there might be something that clashes, doesn't look right. So I figured it's best to put that in there, and then I know how it's going to look when it's all done. Because I've run into that problem before where, you're designing plastics and you don't have the playfield there. I'm like, oh, this looks cool, and once you lay it down on the playfield, you're like, oh, it doesn't work with something. Yeah. So
it's kind of I gotta say, it's cool. It sounds like you've been doing this for 20 years, pinball.
No,
Just so you know.
just
No,
just
which I think is a
being
testament.
clever for 20 years.
Well, okay. You know. Okay, cool.
Yeah, you know, and you pick these things up as you go.
Sure.
Really, this is my first lower playfield.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but it just made sense to me. Like, why not? Let's put that in there. You know, I'll do that first. That'll give me a chance in a small area to come up with a feel for the thing, and then once I have that, I can place that in here and work around it. So, you know, that worked out perfect. So, you know, that's obviously something that I'm going to carry on to future games. You know, and then here because we have Grandpa's laboratory here.
Right.
I put the little hatch with the stairway going down. So visually, in a sense, it's like, you know, go down the stairway into Grandpa's lab. You know, the little carpet pulled back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all these things are just starting to get laid in. You know, the Dragula area here, where there's you know, the ball comes in and drops, and there's actually a die-cast car of the Dragula, and the ball shoots
Oh,
up.
right.
You know, this has changed. I know there's not the big red X with the 5 on it, because you've got to see how this stuff works, and plus you got to talk to. I have to talk to Dwight. You know, Dwight's making the rules for the game.
Exactly.
You
It's
know,
all got to work
John
together.
Borg, John Borg's got his ideas, and you know, all this stuff has to fit. I can't just sit here and do whatever I want. You know, Herman's, there's a bash toy of Herman up here, kind of with his fist like, darn.
Oh, right.
And you know, a fun little thing I put in there. There was an episode where Herman thought he was just bad luck. So right in front of where he's going to be, I put the little roped off area that says "Stay away, bad luck."
Oh, that's
Well, that's a perfect replica of the fence they put around him in the house.
Oh, okay.
On the show, they actually put these poles with rope around him with the sign on it that said "Stay away, bad luck." So, you know, little things like that, the machinery from Grandpa's basement. So everything's kind of starting to come together, and then basically when we're done with that, we have a full playfield,
Wow.
which looks like this.
Hmm.
So now you can see everything up top has been flushed out, and you know, you can see the Eddie ramps. You know, Eddie's sitting in a box of his toys, which are like a noose and a bomb. He's got this giant mouse trap up here. He's dragging up the orb. You can see, you know, what you end up with. Now, see, this is the Pro, so I was able to do a lot of fun art.
More because you didn't have the
Yeah.
from an art standpoint.
Oh yeah, it was glorious.
That's better.
Yeah, when they say, "Oh well, the Pro's not going to have it," so there's not going to be any inserts. There's just going to be this giant area, and I'm like, yes.
Okay.
You know, so
that's cool.
A close second to me loving Batman is Creature from the Black Lagoon, and they actually had Uncle Gilbert was Creature from the Black Lagoon with a trench coat and a hat on,
That's funny.
because Universal Studios made the Munsters and they owned Creature from the Black Lagoon. So it's the only way we could get him in there because he was actually on the show. So I'm like, I'm putting Uncle Gilbert in there, and other fun little stuff like. See, there was never instant bug grow on the show, but it sounds like something that Grandpa would create. So there's a giant praying mantis with a jar of instant bug grow.
The big art thing to me is the black and white versions.
Oh, you mean
was that
this?
just? Yeah, I mean,
this was an afterthought.
Okay.
Now the problem with afterthoughts are that you have to take, I mean, this, you might look at this and go, oh, well, that's just one big piece of art. No. It was the same art.
But you had to go in each layer of the zillion layers. I know.
See, you know. I had to go through, you know, like this little plastic piece here. You know, the background. Every little piece of art I had to go into and adjust to black and white individually.
I mean, I'll deal with 6-8 layers. I'm sure you may add a 0 or 2 to that.
These. Well, I'm looking right here. Here's layer 206.
Oh wow. Okay.
When I converted this to black and white, it took an entire day just to make a color play field in black and white.
Wow.
I had to go into the layer with the pipes. Okay, you take the yellow and you adjust the amount of how much of that is going to show as a dark gray, light gray. You find
No, that's
each layer, and you have to make it the perfect grayscale.
Yeah.
And then you go to the next layer and you do it, and then you go to the next layer and you do it, and you know, like I said, up to where the the playfield plastic starts at layer 206. So
Wow.
basically 206 layers, one at a time, going through and converting it. So we just went with as little color as we possibly could. Greg first had the idea to keep the bumper caps in color, so we did that. And the rest, a lot of what you see here, that's an insert. Very little, just some of this text is in color, the logo up there, and that's really it. Everything else is all black and white. This one has the plastics laid in, so you can actually see. Here's their old organ.
Right. Oh, right. And then there's what? There's a.
Here's a little. If you turn your head sideways.
Yeah.
Let's see. I can rotate the canvas. So, let's see. This is for you, Joe, Mr. Kamenkow. Brady. That is the name of Joe Kamenkow's new grandson.
Oh, cool.
He called me up and asked me to sneak it in somewhere.
Yeah.
So this is the premium back glass in black and white. Again, same thing. Have to go through to each layer because these were all three art packages were done. They were good to go, all three in color.
Wow.
And then Stern Sales said, "Let's make the premium black and white." So I spent all this time with the colors and fog and all these effects and cool stuff, and just the way the colors bounced off each other, and I'm like, perfect. And they went, "We're making the premium black and white." And I'm like, no! So I convinced them to let me move the color package for the premium to the Pro.
I see.
And then bring the Pro art package into the premium, and then convert that to grayscale.
Okay.
Here's the back glass, or the side of the cabinet in grayscale for the premium.
Is that
The family shot.
that machine?
Because for the premium, we originally had the family on one side and them in the car in the Munsters coach on the other. So that got moved over to the Pro, and so now we just have basically this basically flipped around.
Yeah, that's
now
very
look,
cool.
Mr. Chad from Tweeterhead. Coal Bank.
Oh, there it
is. You can read the whole thing there.
There it is. Okay, cool.